Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. It's been a long time since I've been down here in the dungeon, but I have been listening to my fans, and my fans want me back in the dungeon. So I'm back in the dungeon. And what I'm here to talk about once again is Syria, but some other issues as well. And of course, you know, it's really disheartening. It's really disheartening whenever you see a blistering fuselage of negative things coming out in the news all the time. Whenever there is constant agitation. And now we have this with Syria, where you have the president trying to sell the idea of bombing another country and going to war to Congress, and thereby implication to the people of this country, whenever the people of this country have flatly spoken and said that we want nothing to do with this lunacy of getting involved in another war. And the fact that our voices are demonstrated yet again to have very little, if any, impact on the lawmakers who are supposedly representing us. And I still encourage people to try the best they can, because in the end, if you call everybody and you say, fuck you, you fucking dick, I do not want the United States getting involved in another war. Okay? And they basically tell you to go fuck yourself. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want, and that is, you know, obey the strictures that have been handed down to me by my corporate paymasters, who give me the largest campaign contributions. And a lot of them are going to be defense contractors and other people affiliated with the military. And of course, there you have it. But at least it will show you, if nothing else, it will show you that things have gotten to the point where there is absolutely no representation left within Washington, D.C. And hopefully that will at least cause you to act in different ways when you realize that the people who are supposedly looking out for you are not looking out for you at all. And if nothing else, it's going to cause people to really reject Congress and reject anything coming out of that cesspit of garbage. And of course, this is also going to come back to Obama as well. And the thing that really goads me more than anything else with Obama is that we're having this big discussion. And it's really important. It is an important discussion. We're talking about Syria here. We're talking about getting involved in a war where you have a legitimate government, for all of its faults, being waged war on in a civil war type fashion by terrorists, cutthroats, murderers, rapists, you know, whatever. The worst kind of thievery possible. Now, I'm not saying that the government of Syria is really great or anything. I'm sure there are a lot of things that could be done to improve life over there for the people living there. And certainly the government could be run less totalitarian and all this other kind of stuff. There's plenty of things that could be done over there to make it better. The point of the matter is, you know, why are we going to do anything? You let 100,000 people be fucking murdered with bullets and bombs and explosions and fire, and I'm sure a lot of them have drowned and fallen from great heights and all of these other things. They've been killed. And suddenly it's a big deal. We have to get involved because they use some chemical to kill them? It doesn't even make sense to me. But here's the thing. If you had actually a functioning world system, where you had leaders who are actually leaders and could actually make decisions, you would actually have something called diplomacy, where you talk about stuff, you know? Instead of saying, well, he went and did that, so I'm going to go over there and kill a whole bunch of his people because he killed a whole bunch of his people. That's a bunch of fucking bullshit. What I would like to see, sorry, my nose is running. What I would like to see is diplomacy. You know, instead of having Obama, you know, basically tick the shit off of fucking Putin, why not try to have a dialogue? Why not present the supposed evidence of the chemical attack that demands our response? Whereas the tens of thousands that have been murdered before this, no concern whatsoever. But because some were killed by some chemical, all of a sudden it's a massive thing that needs to be taken care of immediately. Why can't we have diplomacy? Whatever happened to talking about shit, for God's sake? Do people not even do this anymore? We don't even negotiate about anything. We don't talk about anything. Everything is boiled down to the last common thing. And that is either it's a yes or a no. It's either right or left. It's either on or off. It's either black or white. There are no other choices anymore. It's either do nothing in Syria or bomb the living crap out of it. You understand? And as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to do anything in Syria because I know exactly from past experience what happens whenever you do shit like this. There's no such thing as a limited fucking response. If you go in there and you take out surgically, supposedly, with these smart bombs that supposedly, are very targeted, which in reality they're not, and there's a whole bunch of collateral damage, but just forget about that for a second. Let's just assume that that's true. Let's say we say, okay, we're just going to bomb the chemical weapon dumps. Okay? Now, what's going to happen as a result of that? Well, certainly some of that chemical is going to get out. You're not going to be able to destroy it all. And people are going to die. People are going to die of chemical exposure. The exact same thing that Assad supposedly did to his own people. And we'd be guilty of that. Okay? And we say, okay, well, what happens if we, take out some of his command and control functions so that it sort of hampers his ability, when he's waging the civil war? Well, what's going to happen as a result of that? Well, it gives the terrorists who are fighting against him an upper hand. It may only be temporary. It may have long-term consequences. But then you also have Russia in the background. Why are we alienating Russia? Why? Why? There's no need to. If Assad used chemical weapons, why not just take it to the UN, let them investigate, take it to Russia, and if Russia says, oh, this is all a bunch of bogus Western garbage, then you go from there. But if you had real diplomacy, what you would say is, Russia, you have influence in Syria. Why don't we come together and talk about this, and maybe you can use your influence in Syria to have some resolution of this, like the safeguarding of their chemical weapons, the removal of their chemical weapons from the country, if that's such a big deal. Although I can't see the difference between poisoning someone with a fucking chemical and blowing their fucking head off with a gun. But hey, maybe that's just me. The point is, there are so many other things that could be done. And yet the only thing that we're talking about is having some kind of military intervention there. And that's just the way things have become in this world. There is no nuance. There is no middle ground. Everything is black and white. And that's a tragedy because it forces everybody into the camps that everybody is in. And that's part of the reason why people refuse to come together, and people will not drop their defensive fucking shields and consider that there are some other groups that have similar ideas. They might not agree on everything, by God, but they have similar ideas, and that maybe we should join together and try to come up with a common purpose. And the fact that we're not even discussing negotiation or, using some other kind of diplomacy instead of, running headlong into the military adventurism is a testament to how far things have gotten in this country. And the only thing that I see is that, you have lunatic so-called right-wing, so-called Republicans who make their bread and butter from their constituency and their paymasters on the fact that they oppose anything that Obama does as a sort of bulwark against getting congressional approval for a authorization to use military force in Syria. But by the same token, they're all warmongers and they want war. So it's kind of a conundrum. But I think it's a foregone conclusion that something's going to happen. It may not be immediately, but something will. And as has proven time and time again in the past, no matter how surgical, no matter what you do, will be drawn in more and more and more and more. And the most famous example perhaps is Vietnam, but we also have that in Afghanistan and Iraq. Both of these countries are still suffering the same kind of sectarian violence, bombings, terrorist activities, death, murder, destruction, burning, everything that was there throughout the entirety of the wars being fought. There is no successful conclusion. Therefore, just like in the movie, what was it called? War Games? With the computer, Whopper, W-O-P-R, that he finally concludes after going through his learning algorithms that the only way to win is not to play. Thank you. Good night.